Hey scholars, today we're going to start our new unit on expressions and equations, and we are going to start off by introducing ourselves to how we can use tape diagrams to represent equations. So to start us off, we're going to look at some mathematical statements with just numbers and draw pictures to help represent those. So let's start off by the first equation, which says 4 plus 3 equals 7. As a first step, it's good to write a sentence to describe what that equation is saying. So I'm going to write down the sum of 4 and 3 is 7. So if I was going to draw a tape diagram to represent that, I need to show that 4 added to 3 has a total of 7. So I'm going to draw a bar that represents 7. And I'm going to draw two parts of the bar where the 4 is slightly larger because 4 is bigger than 3. So that's my tape diagram for 4 plus 3 equals 7. Now, another way to thing to represent is a multiplication statement. And this one says 4 times 3 equals 12, which essentially is stating that 4 groups of 3 is equal to 12. So therefore, I need to draw a bar that totals to 12. But there are 4 equal groups that are equal to 3 in that tape diagram. So I'm going to divide this into 4 equal groups, and each group is equal to 3. And so this bar represents 4 groups of 3, or 4 times 3, equals 12. So using what we just see now with tape diagrams, let's now try to match equations below that have variables which are unknown values to each tape diagram on the front page. So we have 2 tape diagrams here, and we want to match each equation to one of the tape diagrams. I'm going to help you with 1 through 6, and then you will do the last 3 by yourself. So I see here in the first diagram, this is showing that 4 plus x is equal to 12. While the right one says 4 groups of x equal 12. So I see this one's addition and this one's multiplication. So think about what each equation says and which one matches. Number 1 says 4 plus x equals 12, which represents that tape diagram on the left. Number 2 says 12 divided by 4, which means 12 divided into 4 equal groups gives you x, which makes sense for the second diagram. Number 3 says 4 times x equals 12, which could also say 4 groups of x equals 12. So that looks like it will be the second diagram on the right. Number 4 says 12 is equal to the sum of 4 plus x, which would mean the left. 5 says 12 take away x equals 4, which even though it's not addition, it represents that first diagram because if I take the total 12 and take away x from that tape diagram, I'm going to be left with 4. So therefore, this equation goes to the first tape diagram. And then the last one, number 6, says 12 equals 4 times x, or 12 equals 4 groups of x, which represents the second diagram. Now I would like you to pause here and to try number 7, 8, and 9 on your own and write down what they match to on your own notes. check your work here on the screen. You should have put number 7 and 8 on the left tape diagram representing addition and subtraction. And number 9 may have been tricky for you. It does match the second diagram because multiplication is repeated addition. And you can write that tape diagram as 4 groups of x, or adding x to itself 4 times. So x plus x plus x plus x equals 12. So we have now had practice representing tape diagrams with equations. We're now going to use the tape diagram and the equation to help us find out what would x be if it was going to be true for that tape diagram. So I'm going to model for you 2 questions on the back of your notes on the top, and then you'll do the bottom 2 by yourself after looking at the model. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to draw a tape diagram to represent the equation and then think to ourselves, how could I find out what x is, or the other variable y, if it had to be a true statement. So let's look at the first question here. This says 18 equals 3 plus x. So 18 is the sum of 3 and x. So to draw a diagram, I know that 18 is my total, so I'm going to draw a long tape diagram and call it 18. And then it's the sum of 2 different things, 3 and something that I don't know, x. So I'm going to draw a small piece of it to be 3, and what I don't know, x, is the bigger part of a tape diagram. Now using our diagram, we're asking ourselves, 3 plus what number gives us 18? So thinking about how to find that, most likely I should subtract the 3 from the 18 to find out what x is. So I can say that 18, take away the tape diagram part that's 3, will give me what x equals to in that diagram. And I know using my math skills, 18 minus 3 will give me 15 for x. We can check our math by asking ourselves, is 3 plus 15 equal to 18? And when we check mentally with our math, that would be true. Let's try that now with a multiplication statement. This one says 18 equals 3 times y, which we can say is, meaning 18 is 3 groups of y. Because 3 times y stands for 3 copies of y being added together. So let's draw a picture for this. I'm going to do the same thing, draw a tape for 18, and it says that there are 3 groups of y. So I'm going to divide my tape into 3 groups and put y in each group. And I have to ask myself, what would y be to make this a true statement? So if I want to find the value of y, I need to find 18 evenly divided into 3 equal groups. So I can say that 18 divided by y would give me, divided by 3 would give me what y equals to. Using some mental math, I have to ask myself, what's 18 divided by 3? I can think that that's going to be 6, so 6 will equal y. Again, we can check our math and see that if I put 6 in my tape diagram, 6 plus 6 plus 6 would give me 18 as my tape value. So I'm using your notes and what's on the screen, and then I would like you to now pause here and try the last 2 examples on your own and continue the video when you're ready to check the answer to both of those questions. Here are the solutions to the bottom 2 questions. Check your tape diagrams that they are accurately representing those equations. You can see in the first one, we're taking away 9 from 16 to find out what x is, which gives you 7. And in the second tape diagram, we are seeing 4 groups of x to make 28. Therefore, we should divide by 4 to find what x is, and that will give us 7. Ask any questions that you may have on today's lesson, and when you are good to go, you will take your X ticket for the lesson about tape diagrams and representing equations.